I developed a kind of risk framework that allowed me to show why and how privatization of water and sanitation raises concerns from the human rights perspective. The first factor is profit maximization. The second factor is the natural monopoly. And the third factor is power imbalance. That is particularly common in the water and sanitation sector when you have a big company interacting, engaging with local governments. Lack of transparency, lack of accountability, inequality, leaving people behind. Usually the private provider is selective, choosing to provide services only in areas where profits are ensured. In the water sector, there is a feeling of from many civil society organizations and practitioners that public services would be more appropriate based on the risks I have mentioned in my report. One indication for this is the massive wave of remunicipalization processes of water and sanitation services that is taking place all over the world, from developing countries to developed countries. One emblematic situation has occurred during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. Associations of water service providers, largely driven by private companies, for instance, in Spain and Brazil, expressed concerns about economic sustainability of companies and their right to maintain disconnections practices for those who do not pay their bills. In the opposite direction, the necessary protection of people in vulnerable situations through the provision of water for all, regardless of their economic capacity, was widely adopted by public operators and advocated by civil society organizations. So this was an example on how the private provider usually looks basically for their needs to make profit and not to the needs of the most vulnerable parts of the population.